to the ideal now because I have to do this at a longer duration. I've pushed my finish line further away from me in time because I've created this drawdown. The drawdown is not it's not an end of a career. It's it's a struggling point you have to wrestle through, yes. But the wonderful thing is, once you go through that first drawdown and you mitigate all of that, but you do so correctly. The worst thing you can do is go in there and YOLO, you only live once type trading, to try to get it all back in one fell swoop. It's over. Because what you'll think if you are able to do that by luck is that you're better than you really are. And that drawdown has not had any lasting impression on you to prevent you from being reckless in the future. So you're looking up at that peak, that equity high that you drew down from, losing trade here, losing trade there, and now you're in drawdown. You're not to look at that and say, I got to quickly get back there. No, you don't. Because when you were taking your trades that got you there, you didn't say, I have to be there by this day. Nobody had that mentality, that mindset. When you were getting to that equity high, you were just taking one trade, next trade, next trade. That's all you're doing. But now, because you're in drawdown, your whole entire perspective about yourself, your abilities, and how it is that you're going to get back up there is completely distorted. That's what makes drawdown become a blown account. Not understanding that mentality that you're now holding is extremely fragile. It's so brittle that the next trade you put on, you're going to be so hypersensitive to every little fluctuation that it's going to make you scared. You're going to be impatient about it. You will not be willing to sit through the stop being hit again. You're going to be more likely to not want to use a stop loss like he did on Friday morning. And then when you don't have a stop and it goes past what your stop would have been, you'll be wrestling with, well, if I get out, it might be just going just past where my stop would have been, and then it reverses, and you start telling yourself that bullshit. You start giving yourself pillow talk on a one-night stand. Oh, honey, I really enjoyed the time with you. Let me just stay a little bit longer with you. When really you just want them to fall asleep so you can sneak out. You know you shouldn't be in that trade, but you start doing pillow talk. Yeah, I'll be all right. It's probably going to turn around, and the whole time it's just going deeper into you, running that sword deeper into you, and more damage is being done. And then finally you can't handle it and you get out. And then it moves in your favor. Not because your trade would have panned out, but because it's simply just doing something else. But your mind's going to see, oh, see, I did it wrong. And now you're going to go in there and chase it again. That's exactly what goes on in every trader's mind. When they're in drawdown, that's exactly what it is. So the only thing that is actually good about this is it happened on a Friday. So it forces 48 hours of decompression. You have to take time. You have to reset yourself. You got to remind yourself with positive self-talk that nothing has changed. These markets are still going to book the same way they book all the time. They're going to run for liquidity. They're going to go from premium to discount, discount to premium. They're going to run to inefficiencies. Everything's going to operate on time. You just did something incorrect. In this moment, because he's new, he doesn't have but just a couple of days of journals to look at. So he doesn't really have a plethora of experience of leaning back on when it was good. This is why it's essential for you to be demoing, well, not demoing, to be journaling. That way, when you start practicing with forward testing and you feel like you have encountered a period where maybe they changed the algorithm, they're not changing shit, but you'll feel like everything's broke because you're just doing it wrong. And you'll feel depressed. You'll feel like you're not getting it. You go back to your journal and you read those entries where you saw this coming, the chart looks like this, and you feel better about it. And it gives you the motivation, it cheerleads you through it. He doesn't have that. So it's a lot harder for him right now because he's shamed, wanted to impress dad, wanted to do well, wanted to do something independent, all of himself. And then he did that. So $4,000 of what would be considered, drawdown is nothing. That's a morning session on a couple contracts for me. And I spent the afternoon on Friday basically explaining to him that, listen, like, even though Friday was a bit of a crummy day technically, like it was a lot of give and take, spotty price action. It looked like I was watching the Dow futures when I was looking at ES. And when I was working with my older students, we were watching some of the price action. It was just really weird. And I called out and marked out, with them and my son, several 5-handle runs here and there, back and forth. And I told him, I said, listen, don't be afraid because you did this to be able to go forward. Don't let it bog you down to make you feel like you're going to never be able to do this, because you're going to tell yourself all this weekend that you made a mistake and you want to be able to go back in time and never have done it. It's every trader's, regret. When they lose money. I think my dog see the deer outside. We all want to go back in time and not push the button on that trade, or start trading on that day when you knew really wasn't anything in there to be trading. But I got time and get in and push the button. Maybe I'll get lucky and get some kind of a win. All those things we know after the fact, where hindsight's perfectly 2020, and you can go back and pinpoint what it is that you did wrong. He's experiencing that for the first time right now. He's having to come to grips with nobody did it. Nobody did it to him. And he's looking for some way internally how he can take the responsibility and place it on something outside of himself. Just like I did when I was 20, and just like you listening to me. Even the people that say I'm a fraud and my stuff doesn't work, that shit's the truth about you too. You want to find some kind of external reason why you fucked up because it's uncomfortable. And that's what this industry does. It's a perfect mirror. It's better than the mirror when you go to your restroom and you look at yourself in the morning, brushing your teeth, getting yourself ready. That mirror just shows you a reflection of you. This industry shows you who you really are. Because you can lie in that mirror. You can comb your hair and put makeup on and shave your face and put contact lenses on that are a different color. You do all kinds of shit to change that. You can't wear a mask in this industry. All the masks fall off. As soon as you push that button, the real you is exposed. The real person inside of you, the person making the decisions, the one that's driving drunk behind the buys and the sells. That's it. That's the person that's responsible. And that sometimes is extremely difficult for an individual to take. It's extremely stressful. It's alarming sometimes when you discover, wow, I don't really have it all together. I thought I had it figured out. I had all these things, planned with all this success. And then when you put that trade on and you wrecked yourself, and then you tried to fix it, not knowing what it is you're doing, and then becoming impulsive, instead of realizing that, okay, I caused this situation, let me take a step back and slow down. That doesn't happen. It's speed up, do more of the same stupid stuff, and get worse. Why do you do that? Cortisol, adrenaline, and not knowing what you're doing. Remember, in your mind, it's the equivalent of you standing in your house with every wall on fire. The room you're in is filling up with smoke. It's an emergency. Outwardly, someone looking at you, they would never feel like that's what's going on inside your head. They happen to walk by, look at you at your trading desk. Yeah, you're in drawdown. Maybe you're not smiling, but they don't feel like you're going through any kind of emergency. But inside, the whole fucking world's coming to an end. And then what are you doing? You're trying to put out all those fires. That's what he experienced. That's what I experienced when every time I blew an account. That's exactly what you experience all the time too. Send me a tweet and tell me, hell yeah, if that's exactly what you've encountered when you blew your account. And you'll see, you're not the only one. Everybody has gone through this at least a dozen times. Not just once, a dozen times. And until you get to that point where you know your model and you have mastered yourself, 18-year-old kid, especially a male, man, he is never going to be in control of himself. Not at 18. There's too many chemicals, being pushed through his natural development. I mean, he's at the peak of his testosterone too, so he feels like he can do everything, like he's superhuman. And that's why it's a little bit harder of a prick to his ego and pride when any failure comes, because he thinks that it should be the same feeling he has when he does anything else and succeeds at. So it's good for him to be humbled. It's good for him to learn like he's learning right now. It's also good for Dad because I didn't give him money, because he would have probably spent more money in drawdown or loading the account without me being there. So in a lot of ways, I'm very thankful that he took this initiative to go this route. And I think that's the reason why he wanted to do it, because he knew his own impulses. He had it in his head. He didn't tell me, but I can tell you now, as I'm talking to you about and thinking about it, he had that in mind. Once he figured out what he thought he was going to be able to do, as soon as he felt that he could do that, when he was given the car keys without me in the car with him, riding shotgun, he was just going to go, he's going to go drive to town. And he was going to drive it until the brakes came off. And thankfully, he ran out of gas. And that threshold that they put you through, or two, and stop you, that's what he hit. So he didn't go off the bridge, but he hit a tree. So now he has damage that he has to get corrected. Still has the car to drive, $149,000 of that funded account thing, but I think it's like 147 something. Okay, but he has to be very careful. And I told him, I said, you got to listen and don't do anything apart from me being next to you. You don't have to do a reset. Because he was saying that's worst case scenario, Dad. If I would have blown it out, because that's what he was willing to accept. We could just do a reset. I don't care. I'll do that. But I just wanted to get it back right away. Why? Why did you feel like you have to get it back right away? Because I felt like I had to get it back. It just felt like I had to. No, you were telling yourself that. Nothing has to happen. Nothing. Nothing has to happen. You have to be comfortable between trades. You cannot have any kind of overwhelming impulsiveness to get in there to make something back or make something more. If you're doing that, that's the improper mindset. You are gambling. I promise you, if you're listening to me right now, if you are unstable and highly emotional, impatiently waiting to get into a trade, the best advice I could tell you is go do something else for 30 minutes. Come back. If you miss the move, who cares? That's not the last trade it's going to form. But if you lose your shit about having missed that move, you are a gambler. You are absolutely an uncontrolled gambler. You feel like you got to be in every move. I'm not teaching you to do that. And yesterday afternoon, I basically sat down with my son, and my older students have, they were privy to what I was doing. I was showing him buying and selling, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And I said, listen, just because I can do this, just because I can do that, doesn't mean I sit in front of these charts and do that all day long. I want to pick my shots. I want to be able to do what makes sense to me. And the trade I know is likely to occur, and I'm not in a rush to get into, and everything lines up, and I have all the signatures I'm looking for, they're the ones I tweet to you. They're the ones that I'm going in and telling you, okay, I'm going long here. I'm taking a short. And they, boom, take off. Well, there's one. I did lose one. And I see people tweeting all the time, you did that on purpose. You took a look. No, I got it wrong that day. I'm not infallible. I did it wrong. But most times I'm not doing it wrong. I'm calling it before it happens, and there it is. But I showed him, I said, listen, just because I can do that doesn't mean I go in there and go hog wild with it. It's not necessary. You need to master yourself. Just because you have the sword in your hand and you can swing it all around doesn't mean that that's what you should be doing. You should keep it in its scabbard, unsheathe it, do one stroke. Yaido. It's the art of drawing a sword. You pull that blade out. As you're drawing it, it's also a cut. You remove the blood and then put it back in the scabbard. The cut and the drawing of the sword is all one motion. You're not out there like Jason Voorhees in Friday the 13th fucking swinging around like a machete trying to cut everything. And that's exactly what you become, a crazed, homicidal fucking psychopath when you're in drawdown. You literally have a machete in your hand and you think every candlestick's a fucking tree that you got to chop down. This is the one I'm going to do next. Oh, yeah, you printed that? Let me go. And the whole time, you're hacking yourself up. You're not cutting anything down except for your equity base. And you don't even realize it because you're a crazed homicidal maniac because you did it to yourself. And you're looking at it like somebody else did it to you or something else did it to you. And you did it. You have lost the plot. You've lost control of yourself. And the only thing that fixes that, time. You have to separate yourself, move away from the stimuli that's causing you to want to do those things, ground yourself, let the adrenaline and the cortisol burn off. It's going to take about a good 30 minutes. Cortisol lasts a little bit longer than the adrenaline. Adrenaline, several minutes and it's gone. Cortisol, it takes a little bit more time to burn that off. And then once you are in a proper state of mind, then you can deal with other things in your personal life and not be so snappy and punchy, ready to fight and have an argument. You won't feel like every little word that's being spoken to you has needles on it, pricking you. You won't argue with your spouse. You won't yell at your kids. You won't kick the dog. You won't get fired at your job. But when you're looking at that drawdown and you're staring up at it like it's a mountain that you're never going to be able to climb back up, and you have to hurry up and get back up there, like that's the thing that has to happen. Stop and listen to me for a second, okay? Nothing has changed. Everything